Hey team, so this is our week 5 lecture, and I thought doing one on nutritional myths would probably be really useful for quite a lot of people because there's so much out there these days, and it's one of the things that um, I guess made me more passionate about nutrition is to try and eliminate those things that we hear in the news and read in the papers or magazines about nutrition that um, just aren't right. So it's about kind of debunking all of those myths that you might have heard sort of over the years, and hopefully you find this really useful. So the aim of this lecture is to kind of talk through the common nutritional myths that you might have heard, or you might even sort of believe yourself up to this date, and sort of where those myths came from. So we'll go through gluten, which is a common one, artificial sweeteners, organic, protein intake, and fasted cardio is the final one. So a quick task, so you can kind of pause the lecture at any point and just have a quick think about this one. So think about something nutrition related that you've read in the past and that you've believed. So, for example, we'll go with artificial sweeteners are worse than sugar. Let's go with that one. So that's just an example. So have a little think, see what you've read in the past in sort of magazines, online, or things that you've heard that you've believed to be true. So our first myth is around vegetarians versus omnivores. So I've just put a brief definition that Google helped me out with just to make it look a bit more snazzy. So definition of each of them. So vegetarianism. So it's the practice of not eating meat or fish, especially for moral, religious, or health reasons. So in terms of vegetarians, you tend to find that people that are vegetarians tend to be a bit more health seeking than those that are omnivores, so omnivores are people that eat a variety of foods that are both plant and animal based. So eat meats, they eat vegetables, and so on. So we'll go into this in a bit more sort of later in the lecture, but with vegetarians, it tends to be, or vegan even, we'll add vegan into the mix. It tends to be people that are either following the latest trend, or they believe that becoming vegetarian is going to make them healthier. They tend to be people that sort of exercise or lead a healthier lifestyle in general. So studies show that vegetarians have healthier tendencies, which we've briefly just spoken about. But is it that vegetarianism specifically causes that, or makes them healthier individuals, or is it that they are generally more health seeking? So they aspects of their life and their lifestyle are generally healthier. So committing to any form of nutritionism is a word that I've made up there. So whether that be veganism, vegetarian, pescatarian, etc., it is a huge thing. It's a huge decision to take out either a food group or limit your intake of things that you might enjoy because you believe that they'll be better for you. So it's a case of not following the crowd, hence the sheep. So I like to add in a drawing at some point in these lectures, as you've probably gathered. So it's about not following the crowd. If it's a moral reason, I completely understand. So if becoming vegan or vegetarian makes you sort of feel better as a person, I completely understand why you would choose to do that. But if you're kind of choosing to do these things based off of what you've heard in the media, then it's, I guess, part of the reason for doing this lecture is to save people from making these huge decisions that are based on what they see in the media, rather than basing the decision on themselves and what they sort of truly feel. Eating meat, it's not bad. You'll find that it's nourishing. It gives us huge amounts of protein. There's lots of positives to eating meat. Reducing your intake can always be good. It'll mean you're increasing your micronutrient intake through eating more vegetables and plant-based products. But eating meat, you tend to find in the research papers, what you see in the media will be based on a general population, I guess, or perhaps people that, if you read into it, it'll be people that lead unhealthy lifestyles, and then marketing companies will make the connection between those that lead unhealthy lifestyles and they eat red meat, for example. That was one that was probably popular about 5 to 10 years ago, about not eating red meat. You'll find that in general, those people that they've done the research on are generally unhealthy individuals. They have unhealthy habits. Maybe they smoke, they don't exercise, they don't move throughout the day. And it's those things that are contributing to their sort of obesity or their unhealthy appearances or unhealthy like various diseases and things. It's those things. It's not the fact that they eat red meat. So next one is gluten. So gluten's a funny one because people sort of tend to link it a lot to, say, irritable bowel or discomfort or sort of stomach aches, and it's one of the first things that people will turn to cut out. And the common one is that gluten's bad for health and for weight loss. But there is very limited research in non-celiac individuals. So if you're not diagnosed as a celiac, the chances are, and it's very minimal, that gluten is the problem. There's so many other things and other foods and things that are within our foods that can cause discomfort or perhaps not agree with us 100%. And it's those things that, unless you're diagnosed as a celiac, that you need to start looking at. So where did the gluten myth come from? So here's a quick slide just to explain things just briefly so you can have a little look over this. So just in terms of the conclusion, so cutting out gluten often leads to a reduction in energy intake, which will ultimately lead to weight loss and improved GI symptoms. So improved dietary quality or cutting out suspect foods, e.g. FODMAPs, which we'll go into in a second. There is no direct effect of gluten. So as I said, unless you're diagnosed celiac, gluten is probably not the problem. In terms of FODMAP, so it stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides and polyols. These are short-chain carbohydrates that are poorly absorbed in the small intestine, and they're prone to absorb water and ferment in the colon, which, when you put it that way, just sounds a bit gross, but that's what's causing the discomfort. Things like polyols are commonly found in artificial sweeteners. Protein bars actually come with a warning that if you have too many, it could perhaps lead to sort of diarrhea or stomach discomfort. So your, Pepsi Max, for example, sometimes I feel like that gives me quite a lot of discomfort. So artificially sweetened drinks tend to not always agree with me, so I try and limit them. And it's just getting to know your your body, getting to understand the things that are potentially causing you discomfort, and a bit of trial and error. So yeah, bottom line, FODMAPs may cause discomfort in some individuals. So in terms of FODMAPs, there's a lot of information out there online. There's a slide that I've got in here that will show foods that are potentially ones that you could look at to reduce intake, to a bit of trial and error to see if there's things that you could maybe reduce in your diet to make those symptoms a little bit better. So again, this slide is in here, so I won't talk through it all, but it's just there for you to either screenshot or pause and have a little look through. So it's just something to, bear in mind, I guess. Things like onions can cause discomfort. A lot of people, you'll find, have allergies to either raw onion, or raw onion particularly gives them bad digestion or discomfort. Things like bananas are good to include, or blueberries. They're perhaps slightly less harsh, I guess. So perhaps the citrus side of things maybe is what causes discomfort. Honey is an interesting one. For me, I went through a period of time where I don't know if it was a certain type of honey or what, but it would cause me stomachache every time I had it. So things that you can swap that for, like maple syrup and things like that. Even sweeteners, there's preferential sweeteners to look for if you find that artificial sweeteners are giving you problems. So next one, funnily enough, is artificial sweeteners being worse than sugar. So that's the myth. A meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is a statistical analysis that combines the results of multiple scientific studies. So a meta-analysis of 15 randomized control trials showed switching from sugar to sweeteners resulted in a significant being the key word. So when it comes to research, where you see the word significant, that means that the research is really strong, and lots of research is kind of coming out and basically leaning towards these things. So a significant reduction in body mass index, fat mass, and waist circumference, which is, I guess, what we're all looking to achieve: weight loss. So aspartame. So this is one that has got really bad reputation sort of over the years, especially in diet drinks, for example. So it's full of chemicals. You tend to sort of hear a lot, I can't eat that, I can't pronounce those words, I can't drink that drink that's got too many ingredients of words that I just cannot pronounce, so I'm not having that. So this is one of my favourite slides from the course that I did, so the nutrition course. So you've got blueberries, you've got the list of ingredients in a blueberry, and it just makes me laugh because there's so much on there, and you think, oh, I'm eating blueberries, it's like a natural product, but they're still made up of multiple elements to create a blueberry. So just one to put in there to kind of make you think a bit. So using foods and drinks that are sweetened artificially, so maybe with aspartame instead of those sweetened with sucrose, is an effective way to maintain and lose weight without reducing the palatability of the diet. So palatability, like tastiness, and sort of still enjoying those things that you enjoy, but not compromising on taste. So again, just a quick summary: the myth that artificial sweeteners are worse than sugar, they're bad for your health and will make you fat and cause type 2 diabetes. where did it come from? So interestingly, a lot of the research of where this myth came from, the studies were animal studies. Now, it's really important when looking at research, and it's part of my job, so I wouldn't expect anyone to sort of look into this or stress about this, but when you're reading research, it's really important to see one, how many subjects the research was done on, because if it's done on like a handful of people and research is posted, it's not really significant. If it's done on animals, because although there's some similarities and there's certain things where that could be useful, majority of the case it doesn't necessarily apply to us humans. In terms of conclusion, so for weight loss, replacing calorific foods and drinks with low calorie options, you're just cutting out unnecessary calories. So say you have a can of Coke a day, it's roughly 130 calories per can. If you swap that for a Diet Coke, you've immediately reduced your intake by 130 calories. So it's just weighing up whether you're willing to include those calories in your diet and give up some food, or whether you want those 130 calories back. So yeah, just weighing everything up, reviewing kind of what you're willing to do and what you're not. It takes a huge amount of artificial sweeteners. It's something like 36 cans of Diet Coke or diet drink per day for a long period of time to make it even the slightest negative effect. It's just one to have a look into. So next one is organic. So are organic foods healthier? There's no strong evidence to say that they are. So interestingly, some organic foods might contain more of one nutrient than others, but non-organic foods might contain more of another, so it kind of balances itself out a bit. There's no significant difference, so again, significant, the key word there, so no significant difference in biomarkers or nutrient levels in breast milk and urine, etc. But organic foods were found to have 30% less pesticides than conventional foods. Organic chicken and pork were about a third less likely to contain antibiotic-resistant bacteria than conventionally raised chicken and pork. However, the bacteria that causes food poisoning were equally present in both. So there's lots of research around this, and you can find lots of it online, but this is just a snapshot just to kind of get you to think. And a lot of organic stuff kind of came through marketing and making us believe that that was the better option. We'll pay like double the price for a broccoli than you would a sort of non-organic broccoli, and it turns out that actually, in terms of nutrient levels, they're probably fairly even, just perhaps an element of slightly different nutrients in there. So I just put this slide in again for you to like screenshot, just have a look over. So you've got the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So the things that are kind of recommended to buy organic if you have these quite a lot. So spinach, for example, I do tend to buy organic spinach. The Clean 15 is the lowest in pesticides. So these are ones that, like you'll note, a lot of them have skins. In fact, all of them have some sort of skin. Obviously, the pesticides aren't able to penetrate it as well. So yeah, just a little one for you to have a look at. So summary, so the myth, organic food is safer and healthier. So where did it come from? Food companies and marketing. So essentially it became a thing to make more money. There's no evidence to suggest that organic contains more nutrients and lack of evidence of a negative effect. The conclusion, so the health/nutritional benefits of organic are hugely overplayed, and it's a personal choice. So high protein and renal function. So in the media, in the news, in again social media, wherever you might see these things, high protein diets have been given a bit of a bad reputation in the past. But in terms of what the research says, there's no reports that high protein diets affect renal function in healthy individuals. Individuals with pre-existing kidney disease or a history in their family with things such as, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, but dyslipidemia, obesity, or hypertension should consider getting advice from a doctor. Those with pre-existing conditions may have to, or may be advised by a doctor to watch their protein intake. But in terms of healthy individuals and those that are looking to lose weight, a high protein diet is the way to go. It does help us with weight loss. It's been proven. The satiety level of protein helps us across a day eat less in general because we feel fuller for longer by adding protein in. And there's so many benefits. It's not just a case of feeling fuller or muscle gain or muscle retention. It helps our hair growth, it helps nail growth, our skin, so many other benefits. So weight loss reduces the risk of negative renal function, and we're going to get weight loss from a high protein diet. So the myth, eating protein is bad for the kidneys. Where did it come from? So individuals with pre-existing chronic kidney disease being put on a low protein diet. What gives it credence? So protein restriction in clinically proven treatment method is a clinically proven treatment method for chronic kidney disease. It reduces the strain on kidneys. Research to refute it, so randomised control trials, no impact of high protein diets on renal function in healthy individuals. So again, as I said, it's those that have pre-existing or a history of poor sort of kidney function. They're the individuals that are at higher risk if they have too much protein. The conclusion that there is no health risk of eating a high protein diet. So our final one, so this is around fasted cardio. So the hypothesis, performing aerobic cardio following an overnight fast accelerates fat loss. There's no plausible mechanism that fasted cardio can offer any fat loss benefit. When we perform fasted cardio, fat oxidation increases. Our body is turning to fat to use as fuel to get us through that cardio, but that soon balances out, and exercise does not necessarily translate to an increased 24-hour period of fat oxidation. As soon as you finish that cardio, our levels return back to normal and our body kind of carries on with its day. So the research, body composition changes associated with fasted versus non-fasted aerobic exercise. So 20 healthy females randomly assigned to fed or fasted group. 4 weeks aerobic exercise during hypocaloric conditions, so hypo-calorie deficit, essentially. Both groups lost body weight with no significant differences shown in any outcome measure. So again, the word significant and there's no significant difference. So the fasted versus non-fasted, it made no difference to eliciting weight loss. Ultimately, so again, just a quick slide about sort of where it's all come from. So fasted cardio is a personal preference. So if you find that you wake up in the morning having not eaten across the sort of evening or in the morning, and you're going to be training early and you feel better having not eaten, it's entirely a personal preference and it won't accelerate fat loss. I hope this has been useful and kind of maybe made you think about a few myths that you might have heard over the years, and explained where they came from and the research behind why they aren't the case, and that you can make your own decisions. But if you have got any questions, you know where I am. This is week 5 now, and we will be going into week 6 very shortly, so coming to the end of our course. But yeah, any questions, give me a shout. Thanks, guys.